flights cancelled out of the airport after thousands of pro-democracy protesters occupied the terminal. It's the latest round of protests in the city after opposition to proposed extradition laws grew into wider unrest against police brutality and Hong Kong's rulers in Beijing. The airport was forced to cancel all departures as well as arrivals which weren't already en route after thousands of people occupied the arrivals hall. As you can see, many of them wore eye patches. Now, the reason for that was because a young girl had received an injury to her eye, tear gas round fired by police. Thoughts are that she may lose her sight. In the last hour, the airport said check-in desks won't reopen until at least tomorrow morning. Our chief correspondent, Stuart Ramsey, is at the airport for us. It looks pretty peaceful, Stuart.
Yeah, okay, it's just got a bit unpeaceful. We're not really quite sure what's happened. Somebody is being taken out. There appears to have been either a fight or some type of something that has taken place, and we saw the protesters move up the escalators and stairs here, and as you can see, he's slightly a bit away from us and he's being led away. We're not quite sure why. The last flight, we believe, has arrived at the airport, and that's sort of meant to be the end of the protest, which has completely closed this airport apart from those last flights that were in the air from long distances. Now, there are no outgoing flights at all at the moment, but the incoming ones they had to let in because obviously they've flown from the United States and from Europe. There are huge numbers of people still here. We'll take you this one. As you say, it is pretty peaceful as a rule, and they've been here since Friday, just sitting on the ground and making their protest. What happened, as you were alluding to earlier, was very violent night last night. We were in it. It was pretty hardcore by any rioting standards, but by Hong Kong standards, it was absolutely off the Richter scale. And we saw the police firing into the metro, and we saw this young lady hit in the eye with a tear gas canister. She might lose that eye. That caused huge numbers of people to come back to this demonstration that's been going on since Friday and adding to the numbers. There were so many here by the middle of the day, they basically just said like the airport simply can't operate, and so it was utterly closed down. What happens now, we don't know. The protesters, and we saw many thousands upon thousands leaving because they said the police were coming. It's hard to imagine they're going to storm an international airport, but they are losing their patience, so they may. What will happen with these people that are here, we're not quite certain about. They could start leaving very shortly. That is certainly what we believe they're meant to do, but they might try to stay. I think the police will then come. This is unprecedented stuff. You can't really imagine this happening at Heathrow, can you? So a remarkable 10 weeks of demonstrations, and they're going on, Kate, and there is nothing to suggest they're about to stop.
Talking about that in the office a little bit earlier on, Stuart, the fact that you wouldn't see scenes like this at Heathrow, and yet we have seen police and the authorities in Hong Kong being pretty heavy-handed with some of these demonstrators. Is it because of the sheer weight of numbers that they've decided to leave them there for now?
Right, OK, two things there, Kay, actually. First off, since I've been here, what is a week or 2 weeks or whatever, I have to say the police have been very, very relaxed in the way they've dealt with police stations being attacked, not actually attacking protesters very violently. And in fact, one of the big days last Monday, I didn't see a policeman all day. However, in the last 24 hours, they changed their tactics. They're being criticised from Beijing. They're being criticised from some of the people in Hong Kong, saying you can't just let this violence go on. And you're right. In the last 24 hours, they really changed the way their tactics were. They immediately attack. It's tear gas straight away, and then in with the batons, and people are getting hurt. But I have to say, the demonstrators have been pushing them and pushing them and pushing them, because a lot of them were not peaceful protests. A lot of them are focusing on police stations, trashing all the cars in the car park and attacking the buildings themselves when there are no police around. They say it's a reaction to what happened in the last month or so, but whatever you say, there was no reason for them to be carrying out those attacks. The police now have decided they're going to try and restore order. I felt yesterday that the protest movement was losing some momentum. The shooting of that girl in the eye and what's happened here today closing the airport, I suspect has reinvigorated the whole momentum of the protest movement. And I think things are just going to get worse and worse.
About to ask you that just before we let you go, Stuart. You've covered many of these stories for us over the years. What's the atmosphere like? How are you reading it?
What was really interesting yesterday, we went to an area called North Point, and that's quite a conservative area with a lot of very, very hard men in it who were aggressive to us and aggressive to demonstrators or anyone who they thought might be a demonstrator. They did not want them there. And it's the first time we have seen ordinary Hong Kong people who might actually have a feeling towards the protest movement but don't like the violence that is being caused. It was pretty scary there because these people were not in for negotiation or letting anyone pass through their streets. It's definitely changed. It's gone up a notch. The police are being more aggressive, the demonstrators are being more aggressive, and now we're seeing actual other members of the Hong Kong society taking a position either for the protesters or against them. I mean, obviously it's a civil war, but it's changed a lot in the last day or so.
Stuart, we'll be back to you soon. For now, thank you.